I power walk down to that pile of gummy bears and back. I should probably set the pile out further, or closer, so I can get at them.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast. Show where we talk about pop culture. We look at what's happening in the old pop culture news, and I'm just a man who gives his 2 cents, I guess, into the world of pop culture, because so many people do it, but whatever. We're here. Got meat wad, power walk into a pile of gummy bears. Should move the pile out farther or closer so we can get in. But yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Got some news that caught my attention that we'll look at. If you're new to the show, feel free to hit the subscribe button and punch the thumbs up and turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. Try to go live 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 Eastern Time, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with the Power Up Podcast, and Tuesdays and Thursdays and the weekends gaming whenever we can. So, got not a whole lot of articles today. In fact, I actually need to do something. Because I did forget to grab this at the moment. We'll get this here. Because there's actually some good games that were released today that we want to tip our hat to. We'll do this. Do that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Oops, that's my emulation layout. Whoopsies. There we go. That's the one I meant to pick. But here we have from Video Game Chronicle, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 will receive no additional story content, Insomniac confirms. And that is because the game apparently is coming to PC in January. Excuse me. Be nice if I could read, right? And also with this game that I'm seeing, at least on X, like Nexus Mods, it's having locked all of the comments, I think, for Spider-Man 2 because mods are coming out or will be coming out. It was either that or Silent Hill 2. I think it's Silent Hill 2. But I was also reading some stuff like involving mods for Marvel Spider-Man 2 just because it's coming to PC. But Insomniac confirms there's going to be no additional story content. And in a post on the PlayStation blog, which confirmed the game will come to PC in January, the developer put to bed suggestions that the game would receive extra story content, similar to the original Marvel's Spider-Man game. While we have no additional story content planned for Spider-Man 2, we're delighted to bring all of our previous released post-launch content to the PC version, including New Game Plus, new suits, and color variants, photo mode features, and more. While the first game received several short story expansions, the game's largest story expansion was eventually spun off into its own game, Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales. It is possible a further spin-off title is planned for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2 comes to PC on January 30th. The game will be available on Steam and the Epic Games Store. I never played Marvel Spider-Man 2. I played the first one. The first one was really good. Second one looked like a bunch of DEI garbage, and I'm sad because, of course, Venom is in the second one, and I do like Venom, but alas, they just had to bastardize the story. Showcasing our characters to as many fans as possible in the coolest way possible are some of the reasons they are so beloved. In that spirit, we're excited that our spider heroes, their friends, and their supervillains are coming to PC in the critically acclaimed Marvel's Spider-Man 2, said Eric Monasili, executive producer for Marvel Games. Collaborating with Insomniac Games and PlayStation produced a timeless superhero video game classic that, thanks to Nikus, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but we're going with it. And the support of all the teams involved. Players can now experience on PC the thrilling enchanted features. What's up, Mr. Anonymous? Nixus. Maybe it's Nixus. Awfully close to another word. That's all. I guess that's all this article had per se. Like I said, I never played Spider-Man 2. Maybe if it's really cheap, I'll pick up the PC port. And people are already commenting on, like, there's going to be mods for it because people hated how, Mary Jane looked. I've already seen like a bunch of trolling memes on X. One of them, like, I saw one where it was like, we can't make the story good, but like we can do this, and it's like a super hot female version of Spider-Man, meaning like a straight up like an actual woman, as opposed to whatever they were trying to do with Mary Jane. Well, kind of disappointed that one was a rather small one. I did kind of check out what Video Game Chronicles was talking about, so I got another one up here that's kind of like the main one that we'll be looking at is the console's arm race has plateaued. Have I checked out Daima? I have not checked out Dragon Ball Daima yet. Oh yeah, I did see this. Banjo-Tooie is coming to Nintendo. I actually never played the Banjo-Zooie games. Or is it Kazooie? Yeah, Kazooie. The 2000 sequel, and I do have the Rare games like Xbox One game, like the disc that had a bunch of like Rare games you could play that's actually on the discs. I do have that one, and I know this one's on, like they're on it, so I could technically check it out. But according to this, the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack subscription for August 25th apparently is going to have Banjo-Tooie, which is the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie. The original Banjo-Kazooie game was released on the Switch Online back in 2022. And at the time, Banjo-Kazooie's original developer, Rare, said in a statement, "It's a pleasure to be ushering the Bear and Bird onto the Nintendo's latest console, offering another modern way alongside Xbox Game Pass and Rare Replay," that's the one I have, "to savor its many collectible and googly eyes." Now, I don't know. I just think of, once again, they're slapping it on the subscription base for, your Nintendo Switch. And Stuttering Craig pointed out how someone found at the Nintendo Museum where you could play games, they unplugged the controller and it was a straight up emulation, which is hilarious. Because when you think of Nintendo, you think of anti-piracy and emulation, but over at the Nintendo Museum, they're emulating. Rare's platformer hasn't seen an installment since Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which was released for 360 over 15 years ago. However, the classic franchise has been more prominent in recent years. Notably, Banjo and Kazooie were added as playable characters in the Smash Bros. Ultimate, or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And then in 2020, Spencer said that any revivals of classic Rare franchises were up to Rare itself. However, speaking to Video Game Chronicles last summer, of an extended interview to mark Banjo-Kazooie's 25th anniversary, a group of original Rare team members said they weren't expecting a new game anytime soon. Well, there you go. If you're a fan of Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie has been added to the Nintendo Switch Online Plus. Right? Nintendo Switch Online Plus Plus expansion pack subscription. See, I don't even remember these games because I don't really do. I try to do as little subscription as possible because it's garbage. Because I would rather just physically get the game at a reasonable price, and it better be, a solid price. But yes, quite interesting. Found this on Player.one. I saw this talking around. This was a couple days ago, but quite interesting considering the success of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Bandai Namco pressures staff to quit cancels several projects, reports say. Reports claim that Bandai Banjo, because I read Banjo, now I'm saying Banjo for Bandai. Gosh. And Namco ends with an O. Ugh. Anyway, reports claim that Bandai Namco has reportedly indirectly laid off employees and canceled several video game projects. Situation comes as the video game industry is taking a downturn following the surge from the coronavirus pandemic. Is that really what they're trying to claim? This is recent. So they're still saying that that's the reason, huh? Instead of directly firing workers, the Japanese company reportedly adopted a, quote, traditional Japanese approach. This sends, so indirect layoffs of employees, this sends employees to Odiashi Beya, which is roughly translated as expulsion rooms. Bandai Namco gives these workers no tasks. This is a method that has been used by some companies under strict labor protection laws. The process is meant to pressure employees to voluntarily quit the company themselves. Wow, that's kind of dickish. Bloomberg sources said that roughly 200 out of the studio's 1,300 workers were sent to these compulsion rooms since April of this year. They also know that about 100 of the staff members have already quit and more are expected to separate. Bandai Namco representative denied the existence of these expulsion rooms at the studio. However, they did acknowledge that some workers may need to wait quite some time before they are given their next assignment for a particular project, according to 80LV. No idea what that is. Expulsion rooms. Pressure I don't get it. Like, they tell them to go to the... Like, do they get paid by the hour? Because if they get paid by the hour and there's, like, no labor, then... Or there's, like, no assignment yet, then you're just getting free money. But I would assume it's contractual in some way, shape, or form. On top of the indirect layoffs, Bandai Namco reportedly canceled several video game projects suspended their development. These include one that features characters from anime such as Naruto and One Piece. There were also reports that one project that was commissioned by Nintendo was among the canceled or suspended projects. Bandai Namco earlier this year shut down MMORPG Blue Protocol following the game's underwhelming performance. And apparently their shares dropped by as much as 1.2% in Tokyo on Wednesday, October 16th. The Japanese company said its goal was not to push employees to quit their work, Bloomberg say. Sure, sus. The representative said that the studio's decision to discontinue games were based on comprehensive assessments of the situation. The situation comes as Bandai Namco has been a staple in the gaming industry since it was founded in the 1980s. Some of its most popular franchises are Dragon Ball and Gundam. The studio is now under immense pressure to cut costs and adjust to the post-pandemic drop. This is something that is similarly seen with Bandai Namco and its competitors. Much of the effects were felt by smartphones and online games. The development also shows a sector that is experiencing higher development costs and players' limited attention spans for new games. The situation even extends to other companies, such as Sony and Square Enix, according to the Japan Times. Yeah, very interesting, especially when this came around when, like, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is just completely dominating in terms of sales. Best Dragon Ball Z game out there to date, to some. I will argue that it's good, but I think it's on top with Budokai 3, because I am biased. Check this out. So this comes from that Park Place. Ubisoft allegedly dreading the release of its upcoming Assassin's Creed Hexy? I don't know. After it was rumored to be, quote, gayest Assassin's Creed yet. Yes, because this is such a huge selling point. I feel like this has been more like we've seen plenty of this, like the gayest Star Wars. Like, wasn't that what the Acolyte was supposed to be, like the gayest Star Wars, all this garbage, and it just does absolute shit. Like, this needs to stop because it does not sell. It's garbage. That's why they're trying to thus sneak in stuff and hope that the franchise they're bastardizing hides it. Prime example being the new Silent Hill 2 remake. Sure, selling a lot. Made over, 1 million sales within like 2 weeks or something like that, I think I read somewhere. People are like, this is amazing and stuff like that. However, take away Silent Hill 2, it's an average horror action game. In fact, I would say from the playthroughs that I've watched, it seems more action based than what it should be, because Silent Hill is more so about getting out of there, like not staying in one place because you're in a creepy city and you want to dip as quick as possible because you don't want to be surrounded by monsters. Bastardizing the women in terms of making them more manly. And we've seen people have shared the digital concept art of Silent Hill 2, and they're completely different, which I think is hilarious because when all the people were calling out on how, they uglified Maria and Angela, and people try to cope by saying, well, if you look at the OG concept art, Angela was pretty chunky and whatnot. And it's like, okay, so if you're saying that the concept art is really the final product and that's not what you got in the original, then going off of your logic, the concept art, in which they're a lot thinner and overall looked better compared to what was in game, then it should have been made that way. You see how retarded it is. The point is that behind the smoke and mirrors of Silent Hill 2 remake, it's normalizing the poison of DEI and stuff like that, because there are stuff in there. Not to mention some of the iconic moments that I remembered, and I even looked up. I watched a lot of stuff before the remake was released and stuff, and they could, like, some parts of the game was completely butchered in the sense that it completely misses the point of certain elements. They got rid of the pizza scene, which is hilarious, but yet, like, it's a scene that showcases Eddie as someone that's not a threat until you finally realize that he's probably the most deranged person in Silent Hill. James is just as bad. Like, none of these characters are good. You could probably make the argument that the little girl is innocent, I guess, in the whole thing. But yeah, they changed that. They changed the dialogue leading up to the Eddie's boss fight. They got rid of Pyramid Heads, banging the mannequins. To me, it brings up the question of, I don't know if there's like a saying, but you know how when you've been fed shit so much that when you see something that's just crap, you see it as like pure gold or something like that? That's what Silent Hill 2 remake is reminding me of. And again, I will forever point to Shadow of the Colossus of being the prime example of how to do a remake 100% the right way. Literally just rebuild the assets from the ground up and don't fucking change a thing. If you want to get new voice actors and actresses, sure. But yeah, just look at that. Just look at the production that went into the remake of Shadow of the Colossus. And you go, why can't they just do it like how they handled it? Well, I guess one of the reasons I think a lot of the original team from Shadow of Colossus came back for the remake. So they already knew the game, but still. Anyway, that was a little tangent, but back on track. Apparently, Ubisoft is allegedly dreading the release of its upcoming Assassin's Creed Hex game after it was rumored to be, quote, the gayest Assassin's Creed yet. Probably gay, they're thinking gayest as in, like, it's inclusive, there'll be gay people or whatever. We see it as being the gayest Assassin's Creed yet, as literally being the lamest poor excuse of Assassin's Creed to date. Earlier this month, Endymion shared information from an alleged Ubisoft insider that informed him that Assassin's Creed Hex would be, quote, the gayest Assassin's Creed yet. There's the rumor. There's the video. It is a rumor. He said, I was told that the next Assassin's Creed, which is called Hex, or Hexy, probably Hex, because apparently if it's dealing with the Salem witch trials, it makes sense it would be called Hex, which is set during the Salem witch trials, was being internally claimed, and get this, to be the gayest Assassin's Creed yet. Well, are we just going to have witches like making out on screen or something like that? I'm told that it only has a single female protagonist, and it's also the most fantastical Assassin's Creed yet, he continued. There will be lots of mysticism, and we'll also have, as they said, very striking visuals. I don't know if that means an entirely different art style or anything, but this is what I was told. Next, he said, I was told it will still be an open world action game like the other ones. Well, of course, because you got to bastardize it so much, but still have the main elements of Assassin's Creed game. Because, they're trying to bank on that franchise. But from what I've been told, it's the biggest departure yet from the series. My sources claims that Hex is very, very female power oriented. Are they going to change how the Salem witch trials went down? The women actually busted through their binds before they lit the sticks to light them on fire and started casting magic and hexes all over everyone, and I don't know, their heads explode or something, and the women all jump for joy because of the woman power, and then they all have a lesbian orgy or something like that. We are talking lots of lesbian relationships and female characters. It has witch covens and apparently very little masculine presence within the game. Although my sources told me that they believe that the game will be scaled down in the future and then made into a Liberation-esque game instead of a main title, he shared. As for why it was likely getting scaled down, he said mostly because Ubisoft does not have confidence that Hex will sell well at all. They should have zero confidence on that. When you're trying to internally promote that this is going to be our gayest Assassin's Creed yet, and then you see the backlash of Shadows here, and they're like, uh-oh, when we announce this, it'll probably be even worse. And it should be. But hopefully by the time this game maybe gets released or developed, and this too was put in development when a lot of these panderings were first being pitched or made, hopefully the company crashes and burns before they can advance this game. Internally, as I was being told, the developers behind Hex joked that the game will indeed piss off the fan base, but they wanted to make it anyway. Well, that means, yeah, it's because they don't care, and that's why these people should be removed immediately. That's why they should get fired from their positions. I was going to say lose their jobs, but keep in mind when I say lose your jobs because you clearly don't care about the field that you're in, it stems towards the idea of, well, was that person even right for the position anyway? And based on their actions, it would appear that, no, they weren't. So be gone, thought, immediately, and no tears will be shed when you're released. I assume because the game is devoid of male characters, besides, of course, the ones you probably kill or hunt, and like I said, it's going to have borderline magic at this point in the Assassin's Creed series. But let's be real. I mean, there's some magical elements to Assassin's Creed. One could argue, yeah, they're doing the whole... I mean, I shouldn't even say that, because I played Assassin's Creed a long time ago. Like, I stopped after 3, because I was just getting tired of it. I played, the original. I guess not so more magic than more mystical, like futuristic sort of thing. That you could say, you know, a futuristic thing like can be seen as a type of magic. But anyway, expect lots of weird Isu gobbledygook, I guess, as well. He continued, but that's what I was told about Hex so far. Now, the same sources provided new information to Endymion. He revealed they are calling the reaction to the game's plot and setting to be not what players want from the franchise. Well, we also don't want these people to have anything to do with the franchise. It's not just the game's plot and setting. It's these people. They need to be removed. He continued, I'm told that Ubisoft is contemplating reducing resources for the Hex game because they were originally considering it to be the next mainline title in the Assassin's Creed franchise after Shadow. Well, they should just remove it completely. Again, just remove it. In fact, just burn to the ground, Ubisoft. There's already 4 years of dev time in this game already, with another 2 at least left before it's finished. Hence why I said it will likely come out in 26. Man, I would hope that it gets fully finished and then for some reason Ubisoft gets shut down and rip that game. All that work put into to not having it release. That'd be nice. That'd be the greatest middle finger to these assholes ever. Looks like the forces that be did not want you to release this game because you guys don't care about the franchise. Nor I'll even go further and say, nor do you care about the video game industry in general. You just saw an opening. You know, like Sweet Baby Inc. Where that one retard, Kim, did that presentation. And it was like, you know, we had so much opportunity. We got stuff under our belt. And it's like, dude, your entire, like, we're not here to wokeify your games and blah, 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 you know. And it's like, dude, your game, your company was literally formed on the coattails of Black Lives Matter and all that and all the Me Too and cancellation and shit. All you did was ride that coattails and you were able to get government funding from it. And it was the perfect way to weasel into the industry. Like, we all see it. Like, you're not fooling anybody. Again, one gigantic circle jerk from these people. They are eternally, allegedly very angry that people are not enjoying the female-centric push for this game and others, Endymion added, and there are discussions that the game might get gutted in order to change it to make it more commercially viable, if you will, but I doubt anything that can do to this game will fix much, if anything. Good. They need to be angry because there is literal... All you got to do is look at the games from the past. Like, look at the gigantic catalog on PlayStation 2, your past games. There are plenty of prominent female characters that were just fine. Want to know what the magic ingredient was? It wasn't forced. That was the key ingredient. And we see this. Prime example is with the Tomb Raider series. They had Lara Croft get established back in the day, did well, you know, then you got to your, the Dark Chronicles series. I'm not too good at my Tomb Raider lingo, but, you know, Angel of Darkness, those, you know, the 3 games that made it to the PS2 era, some of it was up and down, you know. You had that. Then it teetered off. Then the reboot in 2016. And some people were like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, I was one of them. You can check out the past streams that I've done. And you could see how the more... I played 1, thought it was fine. Played 2, it was like, okay. And then 3, I was like, dude, I'm so bored at this. But you saw how it progressively got worse because they kept constantly trying to force more and more woman power. Until you have the bastardization that is the Tomb Raider Netflix series, which she's like straight up a plank or a man, lesbian, try to push that, you know, that bow and arrow thing. It's like, yeah, that's just, why are people enjoying it? I don't understand. They liked Lara Croft. like, I thought people liked Lara Croft. It's like, yeah, from the past. You guys are trying to do everything you can to separate the two and try to sell people this false idea that your version is the superior version. It's not. The only thing, I guess, your version of Lara Croft has succeeded is like your Rule 34s. I mean, I guess that's something. Assassin's Creed Hex was announced back in 2022 during an Ubisoft Forward. The brief teaser trailer showed the assassin's symbol made out of a bunch of branches hanging in a dark, gloomy, creepy, and grim forest. Oh, was it that thing right there, apparently? And then Mark Alexis Cota informed Video Game Chronicles back in 2022, Hex will provide a different experience in terms of game and game structure that will eventually come out as we reveal more. Based on the trailer, it appears it will have a horror vibe. Oh boy. These comments were echoed by the company's CEO in an interview he did with the company's Lucy O'Brien. Wait, they just did their own interview? We're a big enough company, we can just interview ourselves. He said the goal is to have Assassin's Creed games come out more regularly, but not for it to be the same experience every year. There are a lot of good things to come, including Assassin's Creed Hex, which we've announced, which is going to be a very different game than Shadows. We're going to surprise a lot of people. Oh, if it's anything like you did with Shadows, I think you guys will be in for the big surprise. Of the backlash, that is. So, according to a previous rumor from Bloomberg, the game is, quote, set during the latter stages of the Holy Roman Empire and revolves around witch trials. Hex is German for witch. The game is being developed. Well, thank you, that Park Place, for that little tidbit of information. The game is being developed by Ubisoft Montreal. Montreal again, with Clint Hawkins as the creative director. What do you make of this latest rumor regarding Assassin's Creed Hex? Sounds super gay in the wrong way and in the negative way, in the debauchery way. And if it's teetering on the Holy Roman Empire, then I guess be prepared for, well, it depends. Could be, I could see this as a prime way of them insulting Christians too. But hopefully Ubisoft crashes and burns before this game gets released. I think that'd be hilarious. All that hard work and then just Ubisoft closes. It's like womp womp. But isn't there that rumor that like they're purposely like failing so that Tracent or something like swoops in and picks them up or something so they could go private? Some like conspiracy theory or something like that. Let's see. We got that. So, Unknown 9, Awakening. I think it just got recently released. Another Sweet Baby Inc. infected game. Apparently performing worse than Concord, with 169 peak concurrent players. Oof. I was watching Vera Dark play a little bit of it, and man, it looks awful. The latest game to have Sweet Baby Inc. consult on it, Unknown 9 Awakening, performed worse than Concord on its release date. This also comes from that Park Place. And on its release date, only managing to garner a peak concurrent player base of just 169 players. If anything, if only it was just 69, because then you can make a joke. But alas, it was only 169. So you got Steam DB data shows that the game hit an all-time peak of just 169 players around 8 p.m. Eastern Time on October 17th. That is yesterday. That is far worse than Concord. If you recall, Concord hit a peak concurrent of 697 players. Oh, so the 69 has moved in the placement of the number of the numbering order when released. Unknown 9 Awakening peak is 75% less than Concord. Oof. These numbers are not surprising at all. Craig Skitsmus, a.k.a. Stuttering Craig, or Skistimus. I had Stuttering Craig on, but I think I just called him Stuttering Craig. I don't think I called him by his last name. But my apologies, Craig, if you're watching and I mispronounced your last name. My last name gets mispronounced all the time, too. That is, Retail Insider informed him that pre-orders for the game was extraordinarily low. Now, let's be honest. I haven't even heard of this game until now, where it's like, yeah, this game is sucking. My retail insider who has access to the 800-plus big box stores pre-order numbers tells me that Unknown 9 Awakening had a total of 46 pre-orders, but 12 were canceled. So actually, it was only 34. Ooh. R.I.P. 34 pre-orders in over 800 store. Yikes. Oof. Oof. That sucks. Not only are gamers not playing the game, but those who did play it are not impressed at all, as the game has mostly negative reviews on Steam. Hounds on Steam wrote, I didn't even know this game was a thing, and honestly, it should have stayed that way. The faces are clunky, the enemies just stiff up and fall like figurines when defeated. Ran okay, but during transition game, almost blew itself up. Oh. Man, this game is so boring and I'm yawning over here. Honestly, the game feels and looks like it's mid-development with no polish. Should have cooked for at least another year. Save your money. This sucks. Then someone else also wrote something. Got this game free with an AMD GPU purchase. Wow. And even then, I feel like I want a game refund. The combat feels like it's from 2005, lacks facial expressions, I just stare straight, and it is quite disturbing. He added, the combat is woeful. Just dodge and hit. Stealth works the best, but it rarely stays that way. Then pretty much getting more comments here. And yeah. Apparently, this person said, I could write a long review explaining everything, but I won't waste my time. It's already failing, but if you need one main reason, I will say this. Sweet Baby Inc. was involved. There you go. There you go. See, and these people want you to say that, oh, it's not us that are wokeifying and, you know, DEIing your game and whatnot, but it actually is. But then, of course, when a game shows some sort of success, you know, like Silent Hill 2, for example, you know, then they'll swoop in and say, yep, this is our doing. This was, you know, blah, 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 blah. So, but again, Silent Hill 2 is their prime example of what they want to have happen. Because Kim even said she wanted to be left alone. She didn't want people to know who she was and stuff. And yet, when she got the spotlight shined on her, because it's like, hey, your company's doing all this bullshit. And it's like, me, I didn't want to be left alone in the dark, blah, 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 blah. You know, this is what they do. Silent Hill 2, prime example. This is what they want you to do. They want to do just enough DEI wokeness so that maybe you won't see it. Maybe you'll be tricked, you know, X, Y, Z. And then when it does commercial success, then they can flaunt out and be like, yeah, it was all because of the DEI. It's all because inclusive. Another prime example, Baldur's Gate 3. You know, the people who say that the game was woke, but it did really successful, are really saying there was a shit ton of debauchery that I liked, and that's why it was successful. Which, you know, we've seen the weirdos, you know, from the you know, these sides of the I guess gaming sphere, you know, and all that stuff. So of course they're gonna love the debauchery stuff. But Baldur's Gate 3 is an interesting one because that game is just, it's purposely made to be whatever, and you could ignore a lot of the stuff too, like what I did. I skipped like the implied, you know, bear fucking, the one guy's fucking in the barn or whatever in the one field, and I murdered everybody that I considered a heathen. because I could, because that's what my character was. That gay vampire trying to bite down on my neck, I stabbed him right in the heart right away. Didn't look back. Didn't give a shit if he was a main character. I stabbed him in the heart and never looked back. I think I even killed the one chick too. What's her name? I don't remember. Not Shadowheart, nor the one Tiefling, the other chick. Anyway, so the game was confirmed to have been worked on by Sweet Baby Inc. by the Shorty Awards. An entry from the game listed Sweet Baby Inc. co-founders David Bedard and Kim Belair in the game's credits. Oh, my apologies. This is what DEI games do to me. They just make me tired. Bedard is credited as the brand content manager at Reflector Entertainment, or it could be me waking up at 5 a.m. I'll go with the latter. While Belair is credited as story arc at Sweet Baby Inc. Yeah, her presentation, like, I find it funny that you try to claim we're not trying to DEI your story and whatnot, but you're literally trying to promote yourself as a narrative, like, story. Oh, we help you build a good narrative. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, if you're helping with the narrative side of things, you are indeed helping with the story in some way, shape, and form. So just a screenshot. Co-founder Sweet Baby Inc. His LinkedIn. Unknown Nine Awakening joins an ever-growing list of video games that are commercial failures after Sweet Baby Inc. touches them. The most well-known ones, Suicide Squads. Other ones include Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, Tales of Kenzura, Zao, and Shadow Gambit, The Cursed Crew. And then what do you make of Unknown 9 only hitting 169 peak concurrent players? Yeah, I mean, I'll be cold-blooded. I'll be cold-blooded. These, if we want things to go back to the way we liked them in the past, these type of games need to constantly fail. Companies, I'll even say it, some companies at this point, like Ubisoft, need to burn and crash to hopefully spread a blip in the radar to possibly wake up other companies and be like, oh yeah, maybe we should like stop doing this forced DEI bullshit and actually just make good games. And with companies shutting down, that means people losing jobs. Now, of course, you know, not to say everybody who works, you know, in a developer studio, you know, be developers are bad developers or part of the woke. But we need to rip out the weeds. The people who do not care, who have infiltrated it, who do not care about what they're doing, only to please themselves for clout and to bastardize stuff. Yeah, they need to lose their jobs. And they need to learn to appreciate that not everyone thinks the same way that you do, and that it is possible to get along with it, and, you know, take a good look in the mirror and realize that the projection that these people are doing onto all the other people, like, doesn't get them anywhere. That's to me, that's what needs to happen, unfortunately, because they want the games industries to fail. So in my mind, no, I don't want it to fail. But if you failing means that it goes back the way it was, and, you know, I'm not going to shed a tear. But there you go. So this kind of caught my eye. Ex-PlayStation boss, this comes from Tech for Gamers. Ex-PlayStation boss says console fighting over teraflops pointless as graphics plateaued. So console manufacturers have long competed to produce the most powerful hardware as possible. PS5 Pro marks Sony's latest attempt at outdoing its rivals, with the Xbox Series X previously boasting its position as the world's most powerful console. However, former PlayStation boss Sean Layden sees this race as a fruitless endeavor. In a recent interview, he declared that console manufacturing needs to stop their pointless pursuit of higher teraflops. And you go, why? It matters. Each gaming generation has brought a huge graphic uplift with it, but the same is difficult to say for the current generation. And then speaking to Video Game Chronicle, which I actually have that article open over here, he discussed the current state of gaming graphics and console hardware. He emphasized the graphics at Plateaued, and there isn't much modern hardware can do to change that. The former PlayStation executive used ray tracing as an example and pointed out how this technology can be difficult to spot without the optimal conditions. And for these reasons, Sean Layden believes the publishers and developers need to shift their approach to games fundamentally. As he points out, creativity and unique ideas are more important today. I agree with that, but I also agree that gaming companies, that would involve gaming companies not simply remaking an already established franchise where creative and unique ideas was done to establish said franchises back in the day. But I've also said on past shows too that I also promote the idea of, if your game graphically doesn't look good nowadays, you're doing something terribly wrong. Because to me, unless you're obviously, since you're an indie, if you're like an indie starting up company, you know, a lot of people are new, they're fresh, they're learning, you know, the game and all that stuff, then maybe it's to be expected a little bit. But like, even with like the like video game rewards or awards and all that stuff, which in the end doesn't really matter because it's all biased anyway. Like, there shouldn't even be like best graphics awards like categories anymore. If your game isn't good graphic wise nowadays with today's technology, you're doing something wrong. Now, that's not to say it like a style choice of graphics, you know, like your old school sprite look. So the most interesting part about this statement is the fact that Nintendo seems to be doing just that. Seemingly ahead of the curve, the gaming giant stopped trying to outdo Xbox and PlayStation hardware over a decade ago. Even the Nintendo Switch 2 is expected to support modest hardware compared to the PS5 and Xbox Series XS or SX. Did I say XS? Damn, never mind. As such, Nintendo will let its games do the heavy lifting. He also made a solid point and directed comparisons between the PS5 and PS5 Pro highlights exactly why he feels this way. Still looking at Xbox comments about the next generation, it seems neither Xbox nor PlayStation intend to step away from this race anytime soon. And do you guys agree with his statement? I do agree with the creativity and unique ideas are more important today. I 100% agree upon that. All these remakes that games are doing, if you're going to remake the game, again, they should do just how Shadow of the Colossus remake did. Just build the assets from the ground up. Now, I'm not talking HD remastered, a port of a port where we'll just make sure it can just at least run, you know. Maybe update the, you know, at least the textures to make it HD look, you know, kind of like the remastering for the new Tomb Raider series. Like an actual remake of building the asset ground up. You don't change a damn thing. If anything, if you change something, you're adding something to it, and it further makes the story impactful. If it takes away from it, then you have a problem. So like I said, I also had the Video Game Chronicle 1. That race is nearly over, and you know who won? AMD. Okay. So according to Video Game Chronicle's article, he believes that the game's console power arms race is plateaued, and that a majority of consumers are not interested in marginally more powerful machines. Yeah, I think I do agree with that, and I think people want to find that in the middle of the road area to where you don't need to get the most expensive PC or whatever. They want that plug and play feature. And I'm someone who's not even, I still haven't transitioned over into 4K because I honestly don't care about 4K, you know? Like, I guarantee you there's people like me out there who haven't jumped over to 4K yet. There might even be, you know, we're still rocking the 1080p and all that stuff. Because, you know, That's fine. We're fine with it. And honestly, my PC could handle it. I could theoretically push it to 4K if I wanted to emulate it, but then I wouldn't see the benefit of pushing to 4K, so it doesn't matter. But so we've done these things this way for 30 years. Every generation those costs went up, and we realigned with it. He replied, "We've reached the precipice." Here's a new word of the day for me. Look at that. Increasing that vocabulary list slowly.
Precipice.
Precipice. There we go. That was close. I think I said precipice. Precipice. Now, where the center can't hold, and we cannot continue to do things that we have done before. He added that he believes that in order for the consoles to market to remain let's try this again. In order for the console market to remain healthy, they must also appeal to a broad audience and consumers who weren't previous players. It's time for a real hard reset on the business model, a hard reset on what it is to be a video game, he said. It's not 80 hours, it's not 90 hours, but if it is, that's a whole different category. When asked about the future console hardware, he believed that a power boost on its own would not appeal to the majority of players. It has plateaued. We are at the stage of hardware development that I call, quote, only dogs can hear the difference, he said. If you're playing your game and sunlight is coming through your window onto your TV, you're not seeing any ray tracing. It has to be super optimal. You have to have an 8K monitor in a dark room to see those things. Wow. Is there really 8K now? Like, I think I've heard of it, but that just goes to show how much I don't care about this stuff because, I think anything else beyond like what we're getting now, you're straight up talking, augmented reality. You're talking AI. You're talking virtual reality where your brain is going to be going inside of that. And to me, when we get to that stage, we're probably in the end times, and we need to pray and hope that the good Lord comes back to take us out of there. We're fighting over teraflops, and that's no place to be. We need to compete on content. Jacking up the specs of the box, I think we've reached the ceiling. Sony will introduce the PlayStation 5 Pro next month, sporting a larger GPU, advancing ray traces, and AI-driven upscaling for new and existing titles. Mid-generation upgrade will cost $700, 70 pounds and 80 or 800 euros. Did I say 70? 700 pounds and 800 euros. Right? Is that euros? While a special 30th anniversary edition of the machine sold out interesting, I'd be honestly, I would have loved to have gotten that, but I ain't dropping that amount of money. Plus, I want a disc reader, and I don't want to buy a separate one. I'll just get the one that's already built in. Console itself is currently readily available at most retailers at the time of the writing. And then he concluded the race is nearly over. And you know who won? AMD. I recently built a computer I'm using right now, and I've got an NVIDIA. Part of me wonders if I should have just gone with AMD. I've used both. Never really had problems with both, but I feel between the two. I don't know. But there you go. That was pretty much the main articles I had for today. So we can let's sign off on something that's more uplifting. For example, Sparking Zero hype proves devs need to do better with other anime games. Well, I don't know if this is uplifting, but it caught my eye. So following much anticipation, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has finally given fans of anime games something to celebrate. Until recently, the genre suffered from half-hearted adaptations, rushed sequels, and bland, uninspired arena fighters, but Spike Chunsoft's latest release changed everything. This release has also set the stage for a new era of prosperity. In fact, I would go as far to say that future adaptation, this is also from Tech for Gamers, by the way, I'd go far as to say that future adaptations no longer have any excuse for being mediocre. Wow, why it matter? Anime games are, most often than not, considered the bottom of the barrel of the gaming industry due to a history of mixed quality. It's no secret that Bandai Namco's latest release has become the biggest launch in anime gaming history. The title sold 30 million units in 24 hours, putting it on track to taking Naruto Storm 4's throne as the best-selling anime game. Figures rivaling AAA releases are no small feat, considering anime titles rarely reach such numbers. The reviews, serving as a treatment to the sheer quality offered by Sparking Zero, are just as impressive. Perhaps the most interesting part about this success is the fact that it comes from developer Spike Chunsoft. This studio has a long history, and recent years have not been too kind to the developer. One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, the team's last major anime adaptation, was lambasted for being a quick cash grab based on the famous IP. Just 1 year earlier, the studio had released Jump Force, another arena fighter that fell completely flat on the face. Yeah, I picked up, what was it, J-Stars Plus. I had to return it. It was not my forte. So when I saw Jump Force, I was like, nah, I'm not falling for it. These two failures meant that fans were quick to shun Spike's Chunsoft when the team was confirmed to be leading Sparking Zero. Even before Jump Force Studios' arena fighter portfolio was anything but impressive. The likes of, hey, there you go. Oh, J-Stars Victories, VS Plus, and One Piece Burning Blood was far from exceptional. Spike's works on 2011's Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi can only be described as a disaster. I have that game. Yeah, it sucked. But this was based on Budokai Tenkaichi. So Spike later became part of Spike's Chunsoft, so Sparking Zero's accomplishments serve as a much-needed redemption for everyone who failed to do the Tenkaichi series justice in 2011. Dragon Ball's latest triumph has proven that anime games don't have to be mediocre, and it's quite fitting that Spike Chunsoft is the team leading the charge. If the studio behind One Punch Man, Hero Nobody Knows, can come up with a satisfying sequel to one of Dragon Ball's most legendary gaming franchise, I fail to see how others can't follow suit. Oh, they'll give it a try. So it's clear that teams like CyberConnect 2, Viking did not lack the talent necessary for similar quality, yet recent releases like Naruto Storm Connections and Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash have been largely disappointing. There's an air of excitement everywhere. You look for Dragon Ball fans. Latest Akira Toriyama's legacy is being carried forward by his work on Daima, Dragon Ball Super manga, and the 4 major games available for fans to play. So between Fighter Z, Xenoverse 2, Kakarot, and now Sparking Zero, fans have no shortage of choices. In my opinion, developers need to offer a similar variety and quality for other franchises. Why can't Naruto go back to the fighting games like Combat of Clash of Ninja, or receive Arc Systems Works 2D fighter treatment instead of repetitive Storm sequels? How did Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash end up missing the mark so badly when the series was at the peak of its popularity last year? And then he just gives off questions about other games like My Hero Academia. And then hopes for the future. One big game that has my attention for now is Bleach Rebirth of Souls. Looking at all the recent footage, it's clear that more thought had been put into this adaptation than the average arena fighter cash grab. Rebirth of Souls seems to be adhering to its source material for gameplay tailored to Bleach's battle system rather than another Naruto Storm clone with slight changes. It's great to see that Bleach's much anticipated gaming return is shaping up to be a big deal, and I hope this is just one of many exciting titles to come for fans. So there you go. And with that, let's sign off by checking out what games were released today. And we've got some big ones. 39 years ago, the NES was released. Boom! Along with Super Mario Brothers. Also, 30 years ago, so just a 9-year difference between the NES releasing, the Genesis was out, Sonic and Knuckles, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, great Game Boy Advance game, got that one. Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi. Man, October is awesome. Dude, Shadow of the Colossus, Age of Empires 3. If you're a Tony Hawk fan, Wasteland, Batman Arkham City, Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Impact. I'm not super familiar about. Like, I've heard of it, but I don't know how well it did. Dude, Pokemon Sun and Moon? Blabs was like the Lego Harry Potter collection. Ooh, you got your Soul Calibur 6. Apparently some new ones. Wait, what's Mutants Unleashed? But dude, what a day in October 18th. What a day. Moby Games has an even longer list. Let's see what they've got listed that maybe we missed. WWF WrestleMania for PlayStation. There you go. I don't know if Spyro 2 for the Game Boy Advance was good, but that came out. The Jax games I heard are good. I played at least Jak and Dexter. I played the first one, but not 2 and 3. But I heard Combat Racing. It's kind of I don't know. Wow. Shadow of the Colossus. Back in 2005. What a game. Apparently in Germany, you have your Fear Director's Edition. The Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Special Edition for PlayStation 2. Oh, that's for Russia, but the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Game of the Year Edition. Getting into 2011 here. Oh, GOG Limited added Mac games to their portfolio. Hats off to, tip of the hat. Hats off would be this. Tip of the hat to you. GOG. Slowly growing. GOG's cool that when you get that stuff, it's at least yours. The EXE, I guess you could say. Final Quest 2. It's not. Some reason I think of Final Fantasy. I'm thinking of Mystic Quest. Never mind. Whoops. What else? But yeah, wow. Just imagine back in the day. What was that? 1985 is when that came out. I was born in 88. So that's like 3 years. 3 years when I was born, the Nintendo was released. 3 years before my birth. I remember Nintendo was my first console I ever had. I remember it. So sad. Console stopped working, and we didn't know where to take it to get it fixed, so we just got rid of it, and we gave our games away. Who would have known? Who would have known? I wish I would have kept it. I still have my original Sega Genesis, though, because we did get a Sega Genesis. Ghostbusters Spirit Unleashed worldwide. I don't know how successful that is. I like Ghostbusters. Haven't seen the recent one. No, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Is that like Tale of Orpheus Curse? I don't think so. Dang it. I remember playing the crap out of the Tale of Orpheus Curse. It's one of those point and click games. But that is all we have. So look at that. Ending strong, very solid release of consoles and games. That is all I have for you guys today. We'll probably do some gaming tomorrow, maybe some more Sparking Zero and Blue Dragon. I did pick up the 360 version of Bayonetta. So I've been wanting to do another hack and slash, so that might be a series we can go for. But thanks again for hanging out with me, you guys. We were on YouTube, Rumble, and X. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button or punch the thumbs up to, like the video. What a sell, right? What a plug-in. Turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. You can feel free to follow me on X if you want to. Also on X, in my bios, my link tree, and in the descriptions are my other social medias listed below. Just appreciate you guys helping the channel grow by pushing the algorithm. But you can always check out the membership tiers if you so wish to help support that way. I am humbled regardless. Just blessed that you guys took the time to hang out with me today as we, get more informed of what's happening in the pop culture world. But yes, I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. Let's see. Is there anybody else? Anybody online that we can redirect to or something? Nope. Doesn't really look like it. But that's all right. All right. You guys have a good rest of your night. Take care. God bless. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Till then, adios. Peace.